you mentioned earlier about like your experience as a psychotherapist, right? What strategies or techniques do you find particularly effective, especially when it comes to bridging the gap between, the cultural differences and providing effective mental health care for your clients?
I really enjoy we typically call it in psychotherapy. It's technically narrative therapy,
Mm,
but I kind of I casualize it a little bit, and basically, if you can utilize the technique of storytelling, uh,
mhm,
that tends to go a long way with minority clients because these people are not wired to process emotion,
mm,
but everybody has a story to tell.
yeah.
So, if you can create, I think as a psychotherapist, in my experience, if you can create a therapy setting that welcomes that, that is open to that, that is free to that,
Hmm.
then you get these stories, and these stories give you way more answers than any psychotherapeutic technique or cognitive behavioral questions will get you. Uh,
Hmm.
so that's my experience.
I love that. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And going back a little bit, you also mentioned earlier about how you're currently pursuing a PhD in social work. Um, what motivated you to pursue that academic path, and how do you see it influencing your work as a licensed clinical social worker?
What motivated me? I wonder about this a lot, and the raw and real answer is that, like a lot of Asian kids, I shaped to chase after a doctorate, right? And
Hmm.
so I feel like that was definitely part of it, to be raw and real. And I'm talking about this because I want to get this word out there to younger generations, to people my age, to anyone I can,
Hmm.
that we are shaped. We are shaped to value education. We are shaped to um, value high status, and we have to be conscious and aware of that, because if it's not something we actually enjoy and like, I think it could really lead us down paths that are hard to reverse. uh,
Hmm.
but that's tangential, so I'm getting back to how I got into this. I think um, as I was practicing psychotherapy,
Hmm.
I just fell in love with it. I think I really fell in love with the job and the work and the people and the
Hmm.
cases. And I really felt like I wanted more for myself. I just wanted to understand more of what I can do, how I can better my techniques, how I can deeper the understanding, um,
Right.
and make myself more qualified to answer certain questions that I had
Hmm.
about people, and enhance my ability to do community work in my culture and
Right.
help create change in my culture and to help spread awareness and answer these questions and spread knowledge. And I think when you want to spread knowledge on the span that I'm hoping to do it with, or hoping to make a change with, detailed knowledge and proper knowledge is so important. And
Right.
so that was a big motivator for me, and it has absolutely influenced my work as a psychotherapist. I'm seeing the change so clearly since I began the program, because you learn so much about yourself and you learn so much about the process of psychotherapy. You also gain so much detailed knowledge, like you're going all the way back to the roots. I have
Hmm.
read so much Sigmund Freud in the past year and a half that I've been in the program. um,
Yes.
and so you really go back to these roots and you see where cognitive behavioral therapy came from, where narrative
Hmm.
therapy came from, how all of these things were developed. How was it developed by them? How did they play a part in it? And so on and so forth. So your foundations of technique are really, really well versed and very stable. You have a huge kind of bag of tools to draw from as a therapist.
Mhm. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so adding on to the topic of your experience as a psychotherapist, could you also share with us some of your like success stories or moments where you've seen significant positive changes in individuals or families that have sought your help in dealing with mental health challenges?
Yes. So I think some of my deepest moments that have really touched me as a psychotherapist are when I see kind of grounds break loose with highly successful people who have learned all their lives to keep it together.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm talking surgeons, doctors, performers, like people who are the it of our culture. They've reached a point where they are successful, they have power, they have status, and they show up so well. They show up in the room and you're just like, wow, I see
Right.
why they're successful.
Yeah.
And it is so touching to me when those people break,
Mm.
honestly.
Yeah.
Because and it comes in so many different forms. Sometimes it's crying, sometimes it's just a story they say, sometimes they go back and they share something about their childhood that has really affected them and always has.
Mhm.
Sometimes they share about really, really sad memories. It comes in such different forms, but to see them break um, as a therapist is so powerful because it's it's terrifying. I mean, I think as humans, for us to be vulnerable, for any of us, um, it's terrifying.
It is. Yeah.
And so when super successful people who have done this for decades and decades and decades break and let
Mhm.
themselves break, that is powerful.
Mm.
And that is when movement begins to happen because they're releasing themselves from all of these shoulds. I should be this way, I have to be this way, I need to be this way, I blah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
um and so just as a person, it's just so touching that I get to be part of the journey of these people finding themselves and finding the rawness to their existence and their self, um, and their being. Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah, not quite a detailed success story, but maybe that's a story for another day.
Of course. Thank you so much for sharing anyways. So adding on to that, in your opinion, what role can family and community play, especially when it comes to supporting those individuals who are struggling with mental health issues?
Family. So I think when we have somebody who is struggling with mental health,
Hmm.
um, I think family and community can play a huge part in, it's easier said than done, but in providing some openness,
Right.
uh, meaning providing space and practicing to be a listener,
Hmm.
like a true listener, a listener of I'm here and I'm simply going to just listen to you.
Right.
I may not know how to respond. I may or may not respond. Um, and maybe I'll listen to whether or not you even need me or want me to respond, but I will listen and I will be here with you. Because I think that's kind of the biggest door and the first door to everything is somebody listened, somebody heard this this cry, and it might not come in a cry, it might come in anger, it might come in silence, it might come in a closed door every night, right? Like, but when we are here and
Hmm. Yeah. No,
Open.
I absolutely agree. Like open communication and just like being willing to listen, it really goes a long way. I've had personal experiences where I just felt really good whenever I was telling my story. And and then just having the other person, the listener, like really listen to me, it just made me
Right.
feel good and like made me felt heard. So I really do agree that truly listening to the other person really does go a long way. So thank you for sharing that. Are there any cultural practices or traditions from the Vietnamese community that you find particularly helpful in promoting mental well-being and resilience?
In the Vietnamese community, I feel like we have so much strength.
Mhm.
And along with, with great power comes great responsibility, right? So with
Right, yeah.
strengths, we do have so many weaknesses. Um, I feel like what we have as a culture and as a community is our deep love. When we look at minority cultures, that goes from Latino, Hispanic, really any minority cultures,
Right.
and you look in it, there's almost always this element of family,
Right.
groupness, of cohesion. And I think particular to the Vietnamese community, um, you know, I will say there the love that we have for one another, for our family, for our children, um, is one of the greatest love that I've ever come across. That
Mhm.
we truly will do anything
Yeah.
for one another, especially in a family. And I think that that is our strength in mental health. I think that is something that empowers us in mental health. Now, where we need improvement is how to communicate that.
Mhm.
How can we put words to it and provide it to one another in ways where we can properly receive that love, uh,
Mhm.
in a way that does empower us, in a way that gives us this sense of strength, that allows us to not only conquer our battles but be the best version of ourselves. um, so yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think this might be one of our final questions. Final question, final question. As someone deeply committed to advancing mental health awareness, what advice would you give to individuals who want to get involved in similar advocacy work within their own communities?
um I encourage to make friends. I think that when we are able to open ourselves to connections, we look for them.
Hmm.
And there are so many people out there. I think when we keep kind of an open mind and an open heart, um, we will find those opportunities. And so I encourage anyone of any age, any race, any population that shares similar desires of um, making a change in the community. Go in with your heart. Take your heart with you everywhere. Keep it open as best as you can, and
Hmm.
don't be afraid of hurt. Don't be afraid of failure. You'll find
Yes.
people that's just not on your vibe, as Gen Z calls it.
Yeah.
And you might not vibrate with everybody you come across, but um, know that you have the power to attract whatever it is that you want, that you're interested in. And it's true, when there's a will, there's a way. So connect with others. Don't be afraid of hurt. Don't let failure stop you. And go in with love.
I love that. Thank you so much, Vivian, for sharing all of that with us for today's episode. I'm really, truly, truly grateful that we actually, made the time for us to meet today. And it's just honestly so exciting to get to know you more. I was actually really looking forward to this interaction. And did you have anything that you wanted to add as well before we end the episode?
That is a great question. I I think the last piece of this that I would like to share with everybody is don't close off your creativity. You know, therapy is a creative space.
Hmm.
And I want to encourage any younger generations that might be interested to explore this because it truly is such a welcoming, open, creative field. And so I'm gonna use a Vietnamese statement to close our episode because I think that I'm hoping that this reaches some families, you know, not just young generations that are English speaking, but là một người tư vấn tâm lý thì Vi rất là mong là tất cả gia đình cũng như là cha mẹ của chúng ta sẽ càng ngày càng hiểu biết thêm về tâm lý học cũng như là về sức khỏe tinh thần của mọi con người, và với cái điều đó thì chúng ta sẽ open hơn và welcome hơn với con em của chúng ta để học những cái ngành nghề như thế này. Tại vì đối với lại người Á Đông cũng như là người Việt Nam của mình thì Vi thấy đây là một cái nghề cho phép mình quay lại với cội nguồn, cũng như là cho phép mình đóng góp cho người Việt Nam cũng như culture của Việt Nam của mình. Sorry vì lâu lâu Vi phải pha vào một vài vài từ tiếng Anh.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Well, everyone, that's it for today's therapy reveal. I hope you guys enjoyed listening and tuning into this episode as much as I loved interviewing Vivian. Thank you so much for taking time out of this evening to come and share with us your experiences, your insights, especially in the realm of mental health and our mission in destigmatizing mental health. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next time we get to talk to each other and meet. So, yeah, thank you, everyone. Yay.
Bye, everybody.
Until next time.